I get used to this thing yet, right? Okay, here's another one for my MERP installment revisitation. This is the Adventurer module, the Necromancer's Lieutenant. This was produced in 1990, so it's in the latter series of Iron Crown Enterprises Middle-earth role-playing game. It shows improved artwork and stuff, but once again, like I say, other than the settings and the world per se, this is about as average of, the modules that they put out. These ready-to-run adventures are quite common with most game systems of the time, so it makes them, with a little bit of tweaking, playable, whether you do it in Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or whatever your choice is today. You could easily use this and just change the title to whatever to suit your campaign, or just a one-off. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. This particular one, like a lot of them, comes with a handful of adventures, each one increasingly more difficult. It suggests that the first couple adventures are primarily for first and second level, and by the time you get to the last two, because there's 6 of them total in here, and it says 6. Oh, I have mixed opinions on a couple of them. They just feel like tie-ins to the earlier ones, or the latter ones, kind of linking them together. Half adventures, mini adventures, what have you. But by the time you get to the end, 5th and 6th level characters are probably more appropriate, because you're dealing with a much more dangerous foe and larger numbers of issues, conflict. There's also a section in here, one of the adventures is actually kind of unique for Iron Crown's MERP Enterprise, because it's actually more of a military campaign per se, where the party of adventurers get tasked by i.e. recruited by Thranduil, the Woodland King, to help his army defeat an army coming from Dol Guldur, with intentions of weakening the Wood Elves' control over central Mirkwood, and further pushing them back into their borders, so to speak. And so it has a larger dynamic or vibe to it. The adventurers are basically independent squad of people or whatever, who are tasked to do a specific or 2 specific things, while around them war rages. Something to consider. As supplements go, it concentrates mostly on the area just north of Dol Guldur and south of the Woodland Realm, which basically puts it in central Mirkwood. Which is fine. I mean, it's a good addition to the one I was just doing earlier, the Mirkwood books, and that's kind of why I chose to put them together in this aspect. We got all of our normal charts and pre-created NPC lists and the MacGuffins and so on and so forth listed, some maps and kind of crude stuff, but quite functional. The first adventure is basically helping to protect a merchant and get his merchant caravan from point A to point B, dealing with spiders and an orc ambush. So atypical. Even got a picture of the ambush, several ambush points. This one's where they've dropped a tree across the road. One earlier shows webbing that was webbed across the road of the path, however you want to look at it. The next one is the tail of traffic on the men berserk, and the tables turned. So in this turn, the first one, the orcs and baddies ambush the merchant party, which your PCs are a part of, and the second adventure is where the merchant's party, basically merchant sends the NPCs out as a strike team to go repay the favor to the orcs and to regain a MacGuffin that was lost in the first one. Typical stuff. And then they got the setting, the caravan at Bulkapar, the chase, an orc outpost, a nice detail, the tasks. Then we get into this the later adventures, where we're dealing with the guy that's the lieutenant, so to speak, in charge of all this all the chaos that's going on. Assault on Cirkel's army, i.e. the assault on the Elves, plotting of Cirkel. He's the bad guy. There's a picture of him. He is a lieutenant of the Ringwrath Kamel, which is, they're both Easterlings. It goes into some of those details. The setting, here's a picture of the army's march, and better yet, this is what I mean by, this is more of a tabletop war game scenario than it is a player, a PG RPG. On the other hand, it can be played out. So if you choose to go and bring out your tabletop stuff, wargaming stuff, you could actually play this thing out in a larger scale if you chose. I'm not saying you should, but you could. And then we got the last one is the fugitive circle escapes, i.e. the lieutenant. Thranduil's elves, and with help of the adventurers, basically destroy or disrupt Dolgadur's army and disperses it. And while the elves are out hunting down the remnants, Thranduil comes to the PCs and says, "Look, the bad guy got away. We need to hunt him down, prevent him from coming back and causing more mischief. Will you go?" And points out that, obviously, he'll offer a few little trinkets as rewards, none of any real extreme value, but he'll point out that this guy's probably got a nice significant little hoard of his own, either with him or in his hideout, so it's worth going after if you choose to go after it. So there you go, a later rendition, 1990s copy for Middle-earth role-playing game, ready to run adventure, The Necromancer's Lieutenant. Get it, buy it, love it, hate it, donate it. Whatever works for you.